Hey, listen, and welcome to A Link to the Filmcast. I'm your host, David Reese, in the show where we adventure across the realms of Hyrule and the silver screen. This is going to be our 5th episode of the podcast, and we'll be looking at 2007's Transformers. But first, let's jump into a random Zelda wiki page. So the page I pulled up today is from Twilight Princess. It is the Hylian Loach, or the Twilight Fish, according to this article. It's a book found in the house in the fishing hole, and it gives a description of the behavior and habitat of the loach, and how they love frogs and shallow water. And then how they prefer summer over winter time. And then according to Hina, that must be the lady with the fishing hole in Twilight Princess, the book is about a young Hylian Loach and its quest to save Hyrule. Also, I guess the wiki page itself is for the book, not the actual fish. The Legend of the Hylian Loach, the Twilight Fish, which I guess is kind of a play on The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, except this is The Legend of Hylian Loach Twilight Fish. So, okay, that's interesting. I don't think I remember that little nod inside the game. I do remember the fishing hole. I do remember I was so glad once I was done with the Vessels of Light for Lake Hylia, because that was your third and final one. Because then you're done with it. You don't have to do that ever again. You don't have to do the Vessel of Light things, because you do unlock additional regions in Twilight Princess, but you only have to do the Vessel of Light things for 3 of them. And then that evolved into the Spirit Realm thing, Skyward Sword, kind of collecting the different things around the map to get familiar with the map, and then you kind of unlock it. It's annoying because it's not optional. It's part of the main storyline. Like, you have to go through them. But anyway, going up the Zora River, that's a staple. The fishing hole is a staple. I know people love their fishing games. Even Skyrim added it. After 10 years it was out there. They released the anniversary edition for their 10-year anniversary, and that adds fishing to it. So I guess it's a thing. And the little book about the young Hylian Loach on its quest to save Hyrule. Also, when this comes out, I hope everyone's playing Echoes of Wisdom. If you're in a hurry to play that one, I know I definitely will be recording this a little before it comes out. But I know there's leaks online. I know people are saying the ROM file is out there, and the Nintendo ninjas are probably doing their best to try to tamper it down, infringing on sales probably. Hope people are enjoying it. We'll probably talk about it later on. I'll probably do a spoiler cast or something where I talk about it. I don't want to talk about it out the gate. I want people to experience it organically, because I want to experience it organically, and kind of leaning towards like staying off the internet for the first couple of weeks, or like not hanging out in the regular forums where spoilers or memes could be posted before I even get to them. I did pretty good about Tears of the Kingdom, not getting spoiled, though I did have the final boss spoiled for me at a certain point, because I wasn't in a hurry to go to the final boss in Tears of the Kingdom, and I was fine with it. It wasn't anything too crazy. And then Breath of the Wild wasn't spoiled for me because I didn't get that one when it came out. I was in college, and I think I got it for Christmas that year, so it had already been out for almost a year. But let's jump into our main topic, today's movie. Today we're going to be looking at Transformers 2007. Boy, am I nostalgic for this film. I have not seen this movie in 10 plus years. I was 11 when it came out, 2007. I was 11 or 12, and I remember gushing over this movie with my friends. We were in that peak Call of Duty phase, Battlefront. We were playing the 360 and the shooting games, first-person shooters. It was all about war. It was really cool. We were really buying into it as the preteens that we were. And then to have a beloved property like the Transformers into a big motion picture, that was awesome. I had seen the original Transformers or animated series. I know that was before my time, but they were the old Netflix DVDs you would get mailed to your house. And we had the plan where we could have like 3 DVDs at a time. So I would try to space out the queue so I could have a DVD, one of the 3 DVDs at a given time. And I was sure to try to watch it and then return it so I could get the next DVD coming, because I know if I didn't do that, I would get demoted in the hierarchy on the Netflix queue, because I have siblings and then parents that rented movies from it as well. So I kind of had to play nice because I knew I wanted to see those movies. I also did that with the original Pokemon animated series on Netflix. Got the DVDs mailed to our house and watched it that way. Because on TV, you never know if you miss an episode, and you're at the mercy of the TV. It was before streaming, but it was a great, very, very nostalgic to watch this movie again and kind of see things as an adult I didn't quite catch as that preteen, which there's a lot of. So I rewatched this movie again the other night. Had a big bucket of popcorn, and I just fanboyed the whole time, remembering scenes as they happened. I had remembered some scenes vividly from when I was younger, like the opening attack I remembered on the Qatar base, the scene where he's out buying his first car, Bernie Mac being the salesman, throwing some comedy shade, and Bumblebee destroying all the other windows. I remember that scene pretty well. Some of the middle part of the movie, I didn't quite remember. Some of the logic I didn't quite remember, where if you're watching this movie for the logic, you might want to reconsider. I mean, it's fine for telling a story, but if you think too hard about it, then things just kind of fall to pieces. But it's fiction. It's sci-fi. Guiltedly, when I like action adventure, sometimes I lean on that sci-fi side. This is the first movie I chose that's in the last 20 years. Everything we've kind of covered up until now was before 2000. Here we got a movie from 2007. I was looking up some facts about the production of this movie. So okay. So let's take a look at how this movie came to be. Early 2000s, it looks like they were going to make it an adaptation of the G.I. Joe property. They were going to make a G.I. Joe movie. But in the early 2000s, there was a point where the U.S. invades Iraq, starts the Iraq War in 2003, and Hasbro, the toy maker, suggests the idea of switching over from G.I. Joe, which is more of a military soldier-centric theme, good versus evil, to something a little more abstract, the Transformers IP instead. Steven Spielberg signed on as an executive producer in 2004. He had some ideas for the project. He's like any other guy that would like Transformers. He likes comics and toys. I wouldn't be upset if I got a Transformer toy for Christmas this year. I think that would be pretty cool. Get like a new Transformer. I think I'd put that on my desk at work. I mean, I got a Gundam on my desk at work. What would stop me from putting a Transformer? I could change it on different days. I could make it a car or a tank. Depends on the Transformer I got. I could transform it on different days, depending on how I'm feeling, or some sort of secret code that only other I could do something silly with it like that. We have some insight that the original script wanted it to just be 4 Autobots versus 4 Decepticons, and have the original Ark spaceship as a big feature. And then it was kind of, they wanted other people to get, that was just the first writer. They hired additional writers to work on the movie, and they made sure that these writers were fanboys of the original series. Spielberg throws out the idea of the boy in his car. So when we're getting the Sam Witwicky storyline and Bumblebee, I didn't know that before until reading about it. Apparently that came from Steven Spielberg. That was his pitch. That was his implementation for the movie. So rewrote the script and made it that car style, boy in his car style script. And the problem that they found was the writers hadn't added any dialogue for the Transformers, which they didn't want to do. They wanted that dialogue was added in later because they knew rightfully fans would be mad if there was a Transformers movies where they didn't talk. They always talked. Even the toys talk if they have the little voice boxes. Other things about, the project, there's going to be a Grand Canyon battle scene. We don't get that, but we do get shots of the Hoover Dam. We got some insight on how Michael Bay was asked to do this movie, and at first he was skeptical. He didn't want to do a stupid toys movie, in quotes. So that's, he kind of liked the military aspect of it. This is right on the tail of Pearl Harbor, and it looks like they reused some shots from Pearl Harbor. And that's what the article I found was mentioning. As I was watching it, yeah, there was warships and aircraft carriers, but I don't remember them actually being used for a plot point in the movie. And we'll get to it when we get to it. I don't remember. I thought that was interesting. But Michael Bay really leaned in towards the military stuff, which, if you've seen this movie, is phenomenal. I just love the action sequences in this movie. They may not make sense from like a space and storytelling perspective always, but as a viewer wanting to watch a popcorn action movie, which I came into this movie expecting, I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it deserves the 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it deserves to at least be in the certified fresh category. Now the sequels I can see being less, but we're not talking about the sequels. This, at the time, as its own standalone film, is sitting at 57 on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't know this, but the voice of Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen, is the same Optimus Prime voice actor as the original series. And he's also the voice of Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. And then Hugo Weaving, Elrond from Lord of the Rings, or V for Vendetta, the bad guy in The Matrix. He's Megatron. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know that before until I looked up the cast list for this. And then there were 6 movies after this one, which I admit I've seen 1 or 2 of the additional films that this one kind of started for. There's one where they go to China, and as they're fighting, there's a big billboard that says "Travel to China 2016" or something like that, which is a big ding towards Michael Bay. I know the movie gets a lot of scrutiny for its product placement, and I would say that as the biggest gripe. You could just go through this entire movie scene by scene and be like, what products are being featured? This scene, Porsche, the 07 Chevy Camaro, eBay. And it worked. I mean, as a kid, I thought the Camaro was such a hot car. And then having this movie, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. If it was practical for me as an adult to get a Camaro, I totally would. But at this stage in life, I don't think I'm ready for a Camaro yet, just in terms of other things, personal factors. But that was some of the research I did looking at this. Pressed play in the movie. Love the opening exposition. Freaking Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime, as the narrator was such a great choice for this movie. He does the opening narration and the final narration for the movie, and it's just a great performance he delivers, kind of setting up exposition. And the way they do the exposition in this movie, if you're a kid watching it, you kind of get it, but it's super easy to go over your head. At least I like almost every scene has a purpose to drive the plot forward. Didn't catch too many filler scenes in the movie, which kind of bloats the movie out. The runtime is like 2.5 hours on this thing. Let me double check. 2 hours, 24 minutes is our runtime on this guy. And that's a long movie, especially for the 2000s. People weren't quite as accustomed to longer movies, I'd think, especially for an action movie like this. And I admit there's some pacing issues. At least every scene has a purpose. There's no random scenes that are there for no good reason. I guess some of and it's also like the mix of having that original script, that The Boy in the Car script with Steven Spielberg, and then having Michael Bay really want to emphasize the military stuff. I could picture them both wanting to have it their way. So they did both and then mashed them together. And that's kind of what made this long lead time or long run time, which I could totally see. The first half of the movie, before their sequences are intertwined, it seems almost like two different movies. The Shia LaBeouf storyline and then the Special Ops storyline. But movie opens, we get that great narration. Qatar base attack right off the bat, trying to set the tone of the movie. We get two scenes at the beginning. We get the Qatar base attack, and then we get Shia LaBeouf introducing his grandfather, doing show and tell. Those are the first two scenes of the movie, which from a storytelling perspective, I think did a great job. They set up two different storylines from the get-go within the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, and they kind of established the tone of the storylines. The military special ops storyline kind of pulls a fast one on you. Before the attack, it shows people just chilling at the military base, taking showers and having inflatable kiddie pools, but then gets very serious when the attack happens. And then the Sam Witwicky storyline is just comical right off the bat. And as that develops throughout the movie, it gets more serious. Lots of, not loose ends, but unneeded elements. Like in the beginning, we see Skype. We see a video call between the special ops guy and his wife and baby. And I guess that's to set up some of that comedic sense in the beginning. But they don't really, we get shots of them here and there through the movie just so they can react to live TV, which I think a lot of movies do. This isn't the only film guilty of that, where they're like, oh no, I saw what Dad did on TV, and that's it. And then at the end, they show up to congratulate him after the big fight or the big climax. But we got Shia LaBeouf. He's doing his thing. This is back when he's younger. Exposition dump about his great-grandfather being an explorer, introducing some exposition. We later find out his grandfather stumbles upon Megatron. Sure, let's have that happen. I'm not entirely convinced on the whole significance of the glasses. If Megatron had the coordinates to the Allspark, why would he imprint them on glasses he didn't have control of? But then again, that's thinking about plot in a movie where you shouldn't think about plot. We get the car buying stuff. His dad psychs him out with by driving past a Porsche dealer. I love how the dealership they ended up going to, Bernie Mac's, Bobby Bolivia, has a petting zoo, which this scene stood out to me as a child. He's the hostile relationship he has with his nanny. Yeah, that's what he calls her. His nanny. She flicks him off. He threatens to beat her under his breath, which as a kid it's funny. Now in today's climate, it's like, ooh, probably shouldn't have said that. But we all get frustrated with family, I guess. And the way you do that within your own family is personal. And we all know it was in good faith. It's not like he would actually do that. But it's fun bouncing back in between the two storylines. The military stuff with all the data analysts in the Pentagon. Apparently this was the first production that the Pentagon let Hollywood film in, or anyone film in, after 9/11. But they were actually able, during their 83-day shoot for this movie, they were actually able to go to the Pentagon and take footage there for this movie, which is really cool. We get all the signal analysts in the room. We get the scorpion thing, special ops in the desert. Very serious tone part of the movie. They're under attack. They call in air. Is this when they get the... No, the air reinforcements doesn't happen quite yet. Before that, we get the Megan Fox stuff. We get the how Shia builds a friendship with Megan. Or in the movie, her character's name is Michaela. Kind of cringy watching it now, but as a kid, I thought it was cool. There was fun stuff like random cutaways. The dialogue's fun to listen to. This movie has this is a great teenager movie. I was the target demo for this movie. Other than older adults that had grown up with the original series, I felt this movie was talking to me. I've heard the rumors that Megan Fox and Michael Bay didn't get along on set. I don't know how much of that is true, but it's enough that she didn't want to continue the movies with them. We get all that stuff. And then we do the Air Force One. The CD bot, I didn't know had a name. According to the wiki, the CD bot's name is Frenzy. And he's kind of like our forward plot device. He's the one getting the information from eBay, hacking the government servers, and trying to figure out where the glasses are. Which, if Megatron is frozen, how do the Decepticons know they're looking for the glasses? I guess he kind of put it out in a signal. Oh, that's why he... So Megatron is transmitting a signal to his Decepticons. And he imprinted the coordinates for the Allspark on the glasses so the Decepticons could find it and come get him or carry out his plan. And that makes more sense now that I'm talking out loud. You can obviously see at the time they don't directly show the president as George Bush, but with the red socks and the southern drawl kind of hiding his face. And with his only lines of in the movie being, could you come get me some ding-dongs? Or could I get some ding-dongs? You could tell the movie was kind of nodding. That's who the president was at the time. Again, you get the sense of urgency. The movie does that so well. When Air Force One lands, or even before it lands, and the attack, the hack is happening, and they're in the Pentagon, and they're like, I think, can I get somebody? It looks like the Air Force One is being hacked right now. The tone just does great on that. We get the movie kind of just goes back and forth with this, going from the military perspective and then the Sam Witwicky. The Sam, I just like saying that last name, Witwicky. I gotta look. Was that in any of the original stuff, or did they make that up for this movie? Witwicky. Everything I'm seeing is Shia LaBeouf. I'm even seeing a Lego model. Yeah. He must be an original character to this movie. He must have not been a legacy character from the old show. But the movie kind of bounces back between these things. I guess the long runtime could be another reason. The long runtime, I do know, is a reason critics kind of lowered their reviews of this movie. The long runtime and the product placement I saw kind of as the two primary concerns. Which means the storytelling, the story stuff is great. Don't think about it. Go in for a popcorn flick. So, I hope everybody is playing Echoes of Wisdom or playing some sort of Zelda right now. And I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for the day. That's going to be this week's episode. Send your questions to ZeldaFilmcast@gmail.com or use the send a message link in the show description. They can be about Zelda, movies, life, or whatever you want. And if you like what you've heard, tell a friend and leave us a review. Remember that this is a fan podcast made by a fan for fans. So if you have movie suggestions or feedback, I'd love to hear them. Follow me on X, formerly Twitter, @ZeldaFilmcast. And next week, or next time, the movie we'll be watching is called Legend. I haven't seen this. This is the first movie of the podcast. I'm going in blind. Thank you for listening, and as always, may the Triforce be with you.